You have a supplement company you've mentioned a couple times, Surthrival. What supplements from your company and beyond would be a good complement to the diet we've been talking about?
Well, I mean, supplements are
I know it's
it's a hard
individual.
one.
I want to caveat
Yeah,
that.
very individual. But also what we think of as supplements, I think there's a lot of products out there that I don't that are called supplements. I don't really think I like a nature-based supplements personally. So that's what I focus on at Surthrival. Um, I think supplements are extremely individual, like you said, and they are when I think of what I call supplements are if I could call them medicine, I would, but it's illegal. So I can't call them that. So I can't say, oh, medicinal mushrooms, like, because that's making a structure function claim to the FDA and the FCC, and that's against the law. Or I would have to be basically beholden to the same rules as pharmaceutical companies. That's challenging. So I think about everybody, just about everybody. If you got your diet perfect, you got your exercise perfect, you're still going to have some stuff that's going to come up, right? Everybody's got different genetics and histories. And, you never know, like, what day as a kid you were out playing and you walked through a freshly sprayed glyphosate patch, or you got exposed to a dose of mercury, or, any name, pick your poison. You got hit with a bad vaccine batch as a baby when they gave you the MMR or something. Any number of things can happen. Everybody's got stuff that's going to come up health wise, or almost everybody. So even if you get all your stuff perfect, and I say that because some people think they're going to eat and exercise themselves to perfection. And the reality is, this is such a temporary ride for, in these bodies and on this planet. It's like, even if you could take it to the maximum, you're not going to live much past 100. And, I know there's people on the planet now, let's say 110 years old. They come from different stock, man, right? It's like that's a different they were founded in a time where you didn't need an organic certification because they were born before the chemical applications even began. So they have a whole foundation. The idea that people from our generation and younger are going to be able to live that long is maybe, I hope so, but I mean, I'm kind of skeptical, you know what I mean? So even if you could get everything perfect, it's like you're gonna die. So when you're looking at supplements, it's like, hey, what am I gonna die from? Because what I'm gonna die from is probably different from what you're gonna die from. And now that we're in our 40s, we're probably getting a little clearer picture of what it might be. What are your nagging constant things? So your supplements ought to assist you with your particular thing. So that's it's hard to take supplements um, and herbs and separate them too much for me, because most of them are what we think of as herbs in my mind. But I think another area that people should focus on, so, and this has been major focuses at Surthrival for us, has been immunity, because we see pretty widespread immuno deficiency, or has become very common in our generation is immuno oversufficiency, which we call them, autoimmune problems. So that's that overactive immune system. I love medicinal mushrooms for that, or anything that falls in this category of what we call immunomodulators. I'm not super excited about supplements that stimulate the immune system. I'm excited about supplements that can stimulate or downregulate the immune system based on the user. And that's why medicinal mushrooms are exciting to me. So again, reishi, chaga, lion's mane, all these different medicinal mushrooms do that, and there's a suite of plants that do that as well. That's exciting because if your immune system's too active and mine's not active enough, we could take the same supplement, and both of us could get closer to a regulatory balance. And I think that's a beautiful thing. So I think immune system's an area where people could go above and beyond and look at supplements. I think hormones are the other big one, real big one. And I think peptides are another big one. So this is kind of falling into maybe a little more of like what we would normally call anti-aging. If we were watching like The View right now, or some kind of like daytime TV show, they call it anti-aging. So I'm watching everybody around me, it seems like, go on to peptides, injectable peptides. I'm watching people get on to bioidentical hormone replacement, and I just don't want to go down that road for a suite of reasons. So I'm very interested in supplements that can help do those things. But, you know, have you ever had the opportunity to like watch a guy start taking testosterone and just
No.
steroids, So you're like, okay, it's amazing. You watch a guy who's kind of a regular guy, and then they start taking testosterone, and they always say the same thing. Well, it's just a little baby dose. It's hormone replacement therapy. But it is, all steroids are testosterone derivatives. So you're taking steroids. It's just we have this funny caveat. Well, my levels were low, so this is just balancing me out. So what happens is they start getting jacked and lean and vigorous because they're on steroids. There's no supplement that's going to do that. So you're not going to take, like we sell our pine pollen products. Pine pollen contains testosterone, or a bioidentical form of testosterone that comes from the pine tree, and a bunch of other hormonal substances. But it's not hormone replacement therapy. It's not going to do that. Like, it's not like bodybuilders can just be like, oh, well, I'll just use pine pollen instead of, D-ball or whatever. It's not going to work the same. It's going to be much more subtle. But I'm playing the Gandalf game. I'm not doing the Joe Rogan game. I'm doing the Gandalf game. Like, my long-term goal for aging is to become wizened with time. I want a big long white beard and long white hair, and I want to look like I stepped out of the Old Testament. I'm not trying, because here's the thing. I think when I look at people, it's like, let's say, women who go down the route of a lot of plastic surgery and injections and Botox and all those kind of things. They don't look younger. They just look like this other thing. Does that make sense? It's like they all start to look the same. They all get that same face, like it's all plumped up and over fattened, and they wear those big lid wigs on their eyes, and you get all that stuff together, and you're like, you're not a young woman, and you don't look like a regular aging woman. You're like in this other category of this enhanced person, and that's what dudes are doing too with testosterone and peptides and stuff. So I'm just trying to go a different route. So for me, if somebody's interested in that different route, it's looking at what supplements can keep your testosterone levels, you know, I don't want to say elevated or high, but just in range. Um, and for women, that might look more like looking at estrogen and progesterone, but there are plants that have traditionally been used for this. Again, they'll never be as strong as pharmaceuticals, and you don't really want them to be because, man, stuff changes a person. But I think that that's another area that's really important. And now that peptides you know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about peptides?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So you got everything from like Ozempic and Wegovy are peptides to some of these ones that are being used for tissue repair, all these kind of things. I'm a huge fan of colostrum. I think anybody who knows my work knows that. I'm also a big fan of deer antler and elk antler, because when those antlers are growing, just like the colostrum, they're extremely rich in these different peptides. And again, they're not going to be as strong as taking these injectable black market peptides everybody's taking, but they they'll work more subtly, but they're very effective. And so I'm looking at how do I reduce my aging process, because one, I want to live a long time, and because two, we're living bombarded in a really toxic environment that prematurely is aging us. And I'm looking at how can I also keep my immune system really functional. So those are the things. I think if your diet's really good and you're getting a lot of color in your diet, you don't necessarily need to be like taking antioxidants. If you're eating a really varied diet, you probably don't need a lot of vitamins. I think D3 is one that is worth looking at if you're not getting optimal sunlight levels. But if you are, then probably not important to really be worrying about that. I think a good, varied, healthy diet can take care of most of our vitamin mineral needs. The things that we want to supplement with more medicinal than they are nutritional, in my opinion. Where I think the usefulness of vitamins, minerals, things like that are for people whose diets are not good. And then it's like, well, yeah, you're missing those things, but there's almost no point in buying and taking those things if you're already getting them in your food, because your food's going to be superior. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And earlier you talked about the people that are living past 100 right now, and they came from a different time, which I totally agree with. You quickly mentioned there are toxins in our environment. Putting those two together, what are you doing to protect against the modern environment and the toxins? And then anything, and this could be tied to the supplements, you're doing to purge your body of things you've taken in the past or things you still take in day to day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a pretty toxic environment we're in. It's really no way, other way to say it. And no matter what you do, I mean, you can't avoid it. And in fact, this is one of those other areas. So I have friends who spend a lot of their energy trying to avoid all these things, and they end up living almost comical lives because of the efforts that they're going through. To me, I don't know that the juice is worth the squeeze because it's raining down from the sky, it's in the water, it's in the food, it's in everything, right? It's like we found out about these forever chemicals recently, right? It's like in the last couple of years, and it's like, oh, turns out they're in everything, sorry, you know, everything. Or it's like, you know, you have oily skin and chemicals like BPA and phthalates are on everything that's plastic. So it could be like, well, I don't drink plastic water, as we like type away on plastic keyboards and use our plastic phones, and we're touching all these plastics all the time. Our whole car, it's like, what's your car made out of? Mostly plastic. So you get in there and you seal yourself in this like vinyl environment, and you're touching all of that. It's seeping through your skin. I mean, you don't really want to. Yes, you could go live in the desert of Arizona in a little hut you make yourself, but then you die of isolation. So it's, you know, you got to figure out a good balance for these. The crucial information for your listener, in my opinion, is understanding how things get in and out of your body. And so you got basically 4 ways in and 4 ways out. And if you know that, you can regulate a little bit of this. So toxins are going to get into your body through, you're going to breathe them in, you're going to eat or drink them, or you're going to absorb them through your skin. That's excluding toxicity you take in through your eyes in the form of things that are bad for you psychologically. So let's set that aside. But yeah, you're gonna drink it, eat it, absorb it through your skin, or breathe it. The way stuff's gonna come out of you is kind of the same. You're gonna pee out what you drink, you're gonna poop out what you eat, you're gonna sweat out through your skin, and you're gonna breathe out through your lungs. So you've got 4 kind of ways in and 4 ways out, right? And the way I always teach this in my workshops is through the 4 elements. So I say earth, water, air, fire. So you're going to eat earth, drink water, breathe air, and then your skin takes in fire from the sun to make vitamin D, and it eliminates fire in the form of sweat as heat to push things back out. So if things come out by pooping, peeing, breathing, and sweating, then you can really maximize those. So if your fiber's low, your bowel movements are going to be smaller, lower volume, and they're going to be less bacteria in your intestine to actually do the work inside you to produce all of that stuff that's going to come out. And you're not going to eliminate as many of the toxins from your liver because your liver needs to basically dump bile into fiber for it to pass through you. Otherwise, you reabsorb a lot of things. So, you know, a good high fiber diet is important. Again, that's just plants in your diet. Um, so you can maximize that. And if you have bowel movement irregularity, it's like putting some focus on that, figuring out how to, you know, we have when we're traveling for the show, we'll sometimes use psyllium husks. You familiar with psyllium husks? They're like,
Yeah, as a supplement,
yeah, Metamucil.
not the actual
Yeah,
husk.
yeah. So it comes from a plantain species, and it's a mucilaginous. Hence, what's the uh, what do they call the supplement that old people take with it? It's got the
Oh, Metamucil.
Metamucil. So the muse is mucilage. So a teaspoon of that in your water once a day bulks your bowel movements significantly. And so if somebody's dealing with irregularity, sometimes when we're traveling, it can be really difficult. Your just schedule's way thrown off. We have a joke about a drink called the Metamucil Sunrise. So that's sparkling water, orange juice, Metamucil in a wine glass, stirred up. We sometimes jokingly do that on the road, but that's a great way to like create regularity in your body. Being sufficiently hydrated with clean water allows you to pat. Okay, wait, let me go back. Your bowel movements will remove fat soluble toxins. The reason is because your liver basically produces bile salts. Those contain some of that fat soluble toxin, and it can be absorbed into that fiber in your gut and passed out. So you can remove fat soluble toxins that way. Water-soluble toxins you can remove by peeing it out, so your kidneys will filter them, but you need lots of good clean water. So obviously, if you're living off of like coffee and Olipop, it's like you're not putting a lot of clean water in. It's going to be more challenging. But if you're drinking a lot of good clean water, you're going to pass a lot of water-soluble toxins out through your urine. Your skin can do both roles. So your skin is unique in that it's sometimes called the third kidney because it has the ability to excrete water-soluble toxins through sweat. But also sweat is oily, so you can also eliminate fat-soluble toxins through your skin as well. That is primarily done in the sauna. So if you're like, well, I'm a cyclist and I sweat really hard. It's like, yeah, but you're sweating under sympathetic nervous system stimulation. So if I do CrossFit, if I go to my gym and we do a really hardcore workout, I'm so stressed out in that workout by the speed and the time and how hard it is. My body's not in the state that it eliminates toxins. Your body eliminates toxins when it's relaxed and it's in a parasympathetic nervous system state. And that's because when your body's stressed, it doesn't care about tomorrow, it cares about right now. So it will see your spinning workout as being chased by a predator, right? That's kind of what it perceives that as. So its focus is, let's get through this intense moment, not, oh, this is a good moment to go through and do some house cleaning, you know? When you get in the sauna, it provokes a parasympathetic nervous system response. So your body starts calming down. Parasympathetic nervous system comes on, body starts processing out metabolic toxins. And when I say fat soluble toxins, I'm talking about things like heavy metals, things like glyphosate, these things that hang out in your body fat or hang out in your bones. So the sauna is a great way to mobilize that stuff into the blood, and then you can excrete it through the skin. And then lastly, probably the most toxic materials coming out of our exhalations, and that's in the form of carbon dioxide. And so when we inhale and exhale, we're going through that respiratory cycle. The exhalation is to your lungs. The exhalation is to your respiratory system what a bowel movement is to your digestive system, right? So when we exhale, we're getting rid of gases. So through this process, as I was talking about, right? So it's like poop, that's earth. Pee, that's water. Sweat, that's fire. And exhalation, that's air. So we need to eat 4 elements a day. So we eat food, that's earth. We drink water, that's water. We breathe oxygen-rich air, that's air. And we take in the light of the sun, that's fire. And then we got to put those 4 things back out as well. If we have too little coming in and not enough going out, or let's say we have too much coming in and not enough going out, we bloat up and plump up and get fat and get swollen. It's the opposite if we have too much going out. You'll see this a lot in like the orthorexic world. So people I keep warning about the extremes around this stuff because I just watched people. I know people who've died from trying to do health food diets, like actually died, particularly at the extreme ends of food restriction. And what's happening is you watch them just shrink and shrink and shrink. There's like not enough coming in to how much is going out. So they're so focused on the detox part that they actually detox to death. So that's a thing that we want to balance these things just right, So we're maintaining our equilibrium, we're maintaining our weight, we're maintaining our complexion, we're maintaining our water levels. But if we do all those things, I think the best way to keep toxins out of your body is essentially to make sure your bowel movements are good, make sure your urine is full and regular. Any opportunity for the sauna is important, maybe 3 times a week. I wouldn't go too much past 4, but 3 times a week maybe. And then, always obviously making sure that you're not getting into one of those breathing states where you're just, you want vigorous breathing and at times extremely vigorous breathing. So I love exercise for that and just actually really purging the blood of gases.
If you enjoyed that clip, you're going to want to head over here and catch the full episode. I'll see you over there.
We've taken all our plants and we've bred them to be sugary and sweet, but then we've lost a whole bunch of things that we don't realize, and we've gained things that aren't good for us. You have 6, 7, 8